My life was forever transformed one random night about 3 weeks ago. I was suffering from insomnia and I couldn't fall asleep. So I decided the best way to entertain myself was to replay my 15 years of life over in my head. Weird, I know. Anyways, it was a bad and boring movie and not much to look at. I looked at my past actions and decisions that has led me this far, and I noticed a common pattern. Every year looked the same. Every year I woke up, complained about how much I hated going to school, and then looked forward to the breaks, the holidays, and eventually my birthdays. Now, what I didn't realize was that doing this made time fly by very quickly. I moved here in 2018 in 6th grade, and already I'm technically in 11th grade, and I don't remember creating any pungent memories to help entertain myself when I can't fall asleep at night. If my life was to be a movie, and if it had aired, it wouldn't make bank. That's how boring it is. Now, this harsh realization makes me want to go back in time and change my actions, stop complaining about my present, and live life. But those years are gone and they're lost, and I can't and won't ever get them back. So the most I can do moving forward is to make up for them by living in the moment. Now, us humans must constantly question our own lives. Do you ever wonder, for instance, if there's much more to life than you're exposed to? Than waking up, sleeping, eating, working, and repeating the cycle over and over again? Yeah? Well, I certainly do. Some of us here are unsure of why we're here, what our purpose is, and if we're doing enough. But the way I see this, these very doubts and questions should enable us to live life to the fullest. Living life to the fullest, yes, I know. This phrase has been shoved in our faces ever since we've existed, but what exactly does it mean? During breakout sessions, I came across a lot of different interpretations. I mean, one person said it means eating noodles every day. And I'm here to tell you that it means 3 things and only 3 things. And I want you to take note of them however you prefer. Maybe the old-fashioned way by using a pen and notes, or through your device. Let's start with 1. 3 things it means to live life to the fullest. Number 1 is to find an anchor. Number 2 is to have no regrets. And number 3 is to open yourself to every emotion. Okay. Number 1, feeling every emotion is hard, especially since we humans tend to detach from our negative, unpleasant ones, from sadness, sorrow, anger, hurt. But we tend to forget that these moments are ones that shape us quite significantly. Oftentimes, when we go through difficulties, we want refuge and shelter from that as quickly as possible. And I'm here to tell you to allow yourself to feel every one of those emotions. In total honesty, the only way to have lived fully is to have felt everything, from extreme sadness to extreme happiness. Let's think of emotions as boomerangs. Not this boomerang, this boomerang. Sorry. When you throw a boomerang and you're ready to accept and receive it, you get in your ready position. As my volleyball coach puts it, okay, well, I can't do it right now because I'm in heels, but it's when your heels are off the floor and you're bent down low enough, you're very mobile and can go anywhere in order to receive the boomerang. Now, if you throw it anyhow and you wander about, then eventually when it comes back, it's going to hit you very hard and there'll be nobody to blame other than yourself. Emotions are just like that, of course. When you're in your ready position to receive these emotions, you allow yourself to feel them and heal from them rather than get stuck. So step 1 to living fully is to ensure that you cherish every emotion, and that is the way to have lived fully. Number 2 is to make sure that you have no regrets. In one way or another, we've all experienced heartbreak. And the biggest heartbreak would be going to bed in 3-5 years' time and wondering what if. What if you had talked to that person? What if you had gone on that trip? Or what if you had been less focused on work and more on your relationships? Regret is a degenerative disease that will consume you whole. And one way to avoid that is to be a risk taker, to push out of your comfort zones, abandon routines, and flow with life. And I'm proud to announce that I've actually recently earned the badge of being a risk taker. You see, I take the bus every day to school, and I never miss it. I'm always by my gate, 5:52 a.m. sharp. My 2 siblings by my side waiting on for bus 13. And I've always wanted to sit in the passenger seat for 2 reasons. One is that it has the best view other than the driver's seat. And 2 is that I felt car sick every time I sat in the back. Now, even though I felt triggerly nauseous in the back, I continued sitting there, all because of the fear of rejection, because I was scared that my bus driver would tell me no. One fine morning, I was actually late for the bus, and I opened the passenger seat, and I was just emotionally, physically, I was ready for the bus driver to wave his index finger left to right and say no. So for a while, I was standing outside, him looking at me at him, and he could see the fear in my face, and I could see the confusion in his. And I was just standing there. For a while, I was giving him a dance performance from how shivering my legs were. And he didn't say anything. The no hadn't come yet. So I climbed up and I took a seat boldly in the passenger seat. Now, I could hear him chuckling to himself, and I wondered why I hadn't taken the risk earlier, why I was so scared. And that's because oftentimes what stops us from taking risk is the fear of rejection. I was wondering why I hadn't taken the risk earlier. The worst he could have said was no, and even then he didn't say it. So for the day, I was in the passenger seat, and the next morning I was there again, and I had been doing that for 4 months now. Every month, every day, I sit by his side, and I tell you truly, he's my best friend. When I haven't had enough sleep and I am sitting in a passenger seat with my mouth widely open, falling asleep, he's by my side. Or when I talk, that's Mr. Boyko. Shout out to him for driving us every day, every weekday. Now, he's seen me in all shapes and forms. I tell you truly, when I'm stressed doing the homework I forgot to do at home, he's still by my side. Or even when I'm screaming at my siblings, he's there and he lets out a little chuckle, because that's all he can do. We can't really communicate with each other. So, the motto of your life should be, so what, why not, and YOLO, because after all, we do only live once. The motto of your life should be YOLO. I mean, I have a friend whose grandma, 75, I believe, goes on cruise adventures every here and then. And another friend of mine, 15, gets on the train and alights at random stops. 2 of these people at very distinct ages meet new people and create authentic new memories until they find themselves back home. Now, this is a good way to live life, don't you think? Yeah, I agree. And I must advise you, however, not to be foolish, to think thoroughly about actions and decisions you make. Because once you do something, it's there and it'll carry out its consequences. Trust me, I know. So there's a thin line between foolishness and wiseness, and you should choose truly. So step 2 to living fully is ensuring that you have no regrets from across all boards. Number 3, it's important to find a point, a constant, an anchor, where you can go back to whenever you're feeling overwhelmed with life and living. It should be your rest, your reset, and your reflection. Ultimately, it's what keeps you going, to remind you that living shouldn't always be about the craziness, but also about the quiet. This anchor will help ground and secure your experiences. And it could be anything really, from meditation to sports to listening to music to even sleeping. I, for one, practice multiple of these. I play sports, write creatively, and sometimes in a day I listen to 10 hours worth of music. But my main anchor is keeping a journal. Whenever I'm unsure of what's going on in my life, I write to my future self in hopes that she may be proud of how I've grown from them as a person, or even laugh at how minuscule these problems are compared to the ones she has at the moment. And I tell you truly that I probably write to myself more than I speak to people. And these are some of the letters that I've written to my future self and waiting to receive them so far. So it's important to find an anchor for your rest, your reflection, and your reset. Well, before I leave, I want to remind you, whenever you're unsure of what to make of this life, remember to live it to the fullest by feeling every emotion and opening yourself up to them, having no regrets, ensuring you have no regrets from across all boards, and finding an anchor. Now, before I leave, it's inevitable to not be cliche with a speech like this. So I want you to remember to love life, to find love for the beauty in its ambiguity, for the facts that we won't ever truly know the answer. And so we try not to miss out by living to what we assume is the fullest. I think that's wholesome and the cutest gesture ever, don't you think? Yeah. Okay. So I want you to remember that life is good. It's now and it's worth living. Thank you.